And we are unmuted. Yes, we are unmuted. OBS was having a hiccup.
I forgot.
Thank you, OBS. Great intro. So while my players finish getting ready, and while people in chat theoretically, get ready for hopefully 2 and a bit hours of entertainment. Important thing to note about Realms of Pugmire, the big news. The Kickstarter is next Tuesday at 2 p.m. Eastern or 7 p.m. GMT or 8 p.m. Central European. You can go to... I meant to copy this to my clipboard before doing this, but you can go to the Kickstarter page and sign up for notification when it does go live. If you're interested in such things, Eddie Webb, the creator of the Realms of Pugmire, will be doing, I believe, a countdown stream on Tuesday, an hour before the Kickstarter campaign starts. So you can hang out with Eddie during that period if you want. Hello to everyone in chat. That's just the big news regarding the game that we're playing. A recap or info for people who've not been here before. We are using the playtest rules as they currently exist. Eddie is currently rewriting them to accommodate a full shift to the Onyx 20 system to leave all of the mechanics covered by the OGL behind because of the recent OGL happenings. So if you back it during the Kickstarter, you will get access to the manuscript preview, which is about 95% complete. The rules you get will not necessarily resemble the rules we're using because of that rewrite. There's nothing we can do about it. It's just the way it is. But hopefully we can still have a fantastic time tonight. My name is Ryan. I am the guide. The guide in this game is GM, Dungeon Master, all of those. But we just use the word guide. For those, people might be watching this new to role-playing games. I play every character other than the player characters and also the world. I'm also going to address the elephant in the room. Yeah, his name is on the thing. Tom couldn't be with us tonight, so I found a suitable replacement in that I went to Wikimedia Commons and found a picture of a Pyrenees dog, and it was so grumpy and fluffy looking, I was like, that is the one. If you're watching this on a smaller display, you can probably see there's like a white thing above the image. That is simply the image credit because Creative Commons requires me to credit the image source. So that's what that is. We do this alphabetically here. So if Lee would like to introduce themselves and their character.
Hi, I'm Lee. I am currently playing Momo Mementa, the mini shepherd, who is I believe she is a merchant type. I cannot remember, and I'm still looking for my sheet. Oops. I'm supposed to be prepared, but I'm not today. That's okay. Momo is energetic. She's social. She's fun. She induces Momo confusion on all newcomers, but it's a delight. I have playtested for Onyx Path before for Chronicles of Darkness and other games, and I also wrote the introductory fiction to the Changeling 20th book by Banner Bound that's available on Storyteller Vault. So go ahead and check that out if you're interested in hearing more from me. And you can find me on Twitter, which is right there at Scriftly, if you want to come see more of my nonsense.
I forgot to unmute, didn't I? Rosie, would you like to speak your piece?
No problem. Hi, I am Rosie, regular size mom. You can find me on Twitter at mom_sized or on Etsy and all the socials as Odd Duck Dice because dice make me happy. So I started making dice and I stream because it's fun. And I am looking forward to playing Cecil Afghan tonight. She is not an Afghan local to the city that we're in right now, which will be important because politics. She is a ratter, so she does the sneaky stuff. Little silent, little deadly, but friendly, I think anyway. I hope you enjoy her.
Okay. And absent tonight, I mentioned Tom. Tom is playing Sigmund, a Pyrenees guardian, so very much a traditional sword and board fighter, out to protect Cecil and Momo where possible, but his advancing years have induced some lethargy, and he'll be sitting. Sigmund will be remaining behind and just sleeping mostly. And also, Lee offered to provide an in-character recap. So, it's going to be entertaining.
Okay, are we ready? Are we ready? Are we ready? Are you sitting down? Are you sitting down for this? Because this was mega. It was huge. Okay, so our boss, well, she's our boss sometimes. She's not always our boss, but right now she's our boss. Okay, so she asked us to go to Hountain. She asked us to go to Hountain on behalf of an old friend because we are discreet. So we went to Hountain because she asked us to, because we're really nice people. We're very good dogs. We are so good. So good. Anyway, we went to Hountain to help the Transylvanian hounds. Yes, we were going to help the Transylvanian hounds because they lost their family relic. Shh, don't tell anyone. But they lost their family relic. This is tragedy because it means they were not invited to the ball. They were not invited to the ball. How could you not invite the Transylvanian hounds to the ball? This is their hometown. This is their city. They built this city out of rocks and rolls. It's fantastic. I love this city. I am so excited to be here because maybe we can go to the ball. If we do a good job, we can go to the ball. And the crimson is in. Oh my gosh. We met these pavillons and they were selling fabric and crimson. Like my hair. Can you see it? Yes. Anyway, crimson. Great. Love red. Fantastic. Oh, can't get enough of it. Also, Mrs. Transylvanian Hound is also a pavillon, but that's not important right now. What's important is that we made it to Hountain. We saw a squirrel too. Oh my gosh, it was huge squirrel, and it had a bite stick. When you go and they stick you, but it's like a needle, a syringe, and a collar, and it was huge, and also had quills and giant teeth. What's up with that? Anyway, it was really weird, and people have been missing, and maybe that has something to do with it. Maybe it doesn't. I don't know. I wasn't given a chance to look, but I would find out if I could, maybe later. Oh yes, we got to investigate the crime scene, and we're about to go do that now. I think that's it. Yes. Am I right? Am I missing anything?
No, that's good. In fact,
okay.
If this were D&D, I would award you inspiration. But this is the Realms of Pugmire, where we have a mechanic called Fortune. I'm going to up the amount in the Fortune pool by 1 for that. So you have 3 Fortune. And you can spend your background trick. Gives you a thing for Fortune expenditure. And you can also spend 1 Fortune to reroll any die in a dice roll that you make. It could be a damage die. It could be the D20. If you've made the roll with advantage or disadvantage, you re-roll 1 of those d20s, but you keep the new result.
So was that good?
You were a good dog.
Yeah. Okay.
And with that recap, which covered the pertinent information, we shall begin session 2 of A Ball to Die For. So you had. It was a bit rushed at the end of the last session, but you did. Cecil did discover 3 pieces of information regarding the theft of the relic, which is a reminder for people viewing. If a noble family loses its relic, they're no longer a noble family by kind of the laws of the land. So the Transylvanian Hounds are trying to keep this hidden as much as they possibly can, so that they retain what little station they have left as a diminished power in a town they helped to found, essentially. But Cecil discovered that caught in the glass of the display case where the relic used to be, there was a tuft of white fur. Following kind of just ambling through the... not ambling, but like searching through the house, noticed a paw print in some dust under like a low shelf that hasn't been cleaned recently. But it was as if the weight had been put down and then the paw had twisted, so it's kind of smudged in a weird, in an unnatural and curious way. And then the very last thing that you discovered as the session wrapped up was that a window at the back of the house on the ground floor in a kind of a disused storeroom had been broken. It's odd because the way that the window is broken would imply that whoever broke it was on the shorter side. The break is lower to the ground. The glass where it's pushed in has been pushed in kind of the bottom of the sill, and then a tiny bit up the sides. But most of the long jagged shards that are still in the upper half of the frame do point down. Like if Cecil were to try to get through this window, just check Cecil's pronouns. Are they he, him, she, her? Sorry. Cool. I lost my place in my notes. I apologize. Cecil would have she would have to like knock some more glass out to get through the window. But as you discovered this and have this kind of like, I believe you asked Larissa, who is the estate manager for the Transylvanian Hounds, if this storeroom were if the empty sacks in front of this window were a recent thing, and she told you no, that it was like a couple of months ago. As she says that, all of you feel a noticeable but slight earth tremor. The glass kind of tinkles in the frame slightly, and one of the larger shards does drop, fortunately, onto the sacks of grain. Larissa almost unconsciously drops to one knee, taps the floor 3 times, and then stands back up before realizing what she's done and gets not necessarily self-conscious, but awkward for a moment. Sorry. This is a mining town. We're used to earth tremors. It's just a wish for luck for whoever's underground who may be trapped if there's a collapse.
You said it's a mining town. Where do the tunnels go? I took the liberty of taking a quick look around the outside of the house. I'd like to take a more thorough look. But if it's a mining town, there's mining shafts everywhere. Is there a way we could check those out? Or are there any near here specifically? Because I would certainly travel that way if I was trying to be sneaky.
She gives you a piercing look, as you mentioned, an Afghan, but kind of shrugs it off as if, like, if Lachlan and Carolyn are fine with it, you're probably okay to look around. So she gestures vaguely, kind of out through the back of the house, which would be further up the hill that this house is built on. Well, the Transylvanian Hounds mine is that way. I'm sure Lachlan and Carolyn would be fine for you to take a look around it. The mine shafts are all. Well, the mine shafts are mostly capped for safety purposes. The levels themselves are reasonably well guarded. It's what the hound families here have. It's what they make their money from. If you manage to get into a mine that doesn't belong to you, it's a security risk. You could steal their product. You could poach their miners. As a side note, just for world information, the default kind of belief of a dog is everyone is a friend. So, like, killing their miners would probably never occur to someone unless they're criminally inclined already. I mean, heck, you might be able to excavate another entrance into it and get in that way to circumvent security. Just hope that the shanties on the spoil are okay. It's known to be a little unstable.
Question.
Yes.
Are there mine shafts under the house?
Not that I'm aware of. Most of them are near the tops of the hills or in the valleys themselves nearby. This was more just somewhere for people to live when they're or people to come when they're not working in the mines. Originally, of course, it's grown since then. And we're now the second largest city in the empire, but for the most part, it's all outside. Of course, it's entirely possible that there are tunnels under the city. No one's really mapped them particularly. We don't have the technology that man used to wield in such things.
No, but someone could.
It's possible.
Okay.
Thank you, Larissa.
She nods. I'm here to help, and by the looks of you, she's looking at Cecil. You do what I used to do. So you're a good dog to have around.
Thank you.
There's definitely some trauma going on there. Anyway, if you watch, she kind of gives like a half smile and gestures towards the broken window. If you want to go out that way, you can. Otherwise, I can just open the side door for you and can go around the normal way.
I'm going to go that way. Cecil, you should go the other way because I'm small and I can go that way. I can fit in, and you would have to break the glass, but I don't have to do that. And if I go through there, I can see what the thief might have seen.
Yeah, it's a good idea.
Okay.
Get a look at their eye level, see if anything stands out to you. All right. So Larissa, we're gonna do that. If anyone calls the town guard and a couple of weird dogs barking around the house, it's just us trying to figure out how they,
Yes, of course. I won't get in your way, obviously, but I'll stand in front of the house so that if anyone does raise any questions, any concerns, they will, come and check first.
Yes, thank you.
So she leads Cecil out and around the house. She opens the reinforced iron gate in the wall, in the 10-foot brick wall, with a key from a ring that she carries at her waist, and it swings silently, but slowly. It's definitely a heavy gate, revealing more just kind of well-maintained alleyway behind it. For Momo, I'm just looking through the skills list.
What can Momo do for you?
I'll give you the choice. You can make a dexterity saving throw, or you can make a constitution traverse. I guess a dexterity traverse check, to be fair. So if you are proficient in the traverse skill, which I don't think you are.
No.
Okay, so it's either a dexterity saving throw or a dexterity check. It's your choice. If you have the black dot filled in next to the saving throw, you have advantage, which is you roll twice to pick the highest.
I do have advantage. I'm a quick and nimble herder. Must keep things in line. Order everything. That's 10 plus 2. That's 12 to start with. But let's see if I can get better. I know I can do better. No, I cannot, because the other one is 4. But I'm fantastic.
You are fantastic with
Yes.
the 12. Without even touching the sides, you get through this window. Most of the glass has been broken in kind of like a. I guess it would be. Actually, it would be roughly your size. It's most of the bottom of the sill is gone. It's just kind of in the corners, where whoever broke it was narrow-shouldered enough to get, or slim enough to get through without needing to break any more of the glass. But you get out fine, and you are in the alleyway. You've got maybe 2 minutes before Cecil turns up, if you want to do anything before she gets here.
I want to look around. I want to see what I can see.
That would be a notice. Notice check, if you are proficient in notice.
I am not.
Okay, that is I believe, a wisdom thing.
Wisdom thing, wisdom check, wisdom.
Wisdom check specifically.
Okay. That is 4. Also, I'm not very good at noticing things.
Okay. So you're just kind of looking around. At the back of the building it's less ostentatious than the front. It doesn't have to be ostentatious. It's more of a service conduit between the backs of all of the houses and the road where it curves up further up the hill at either end of this. It's not quite an alleyway because it's too wide and too well maintained, but it's not really a path per se. Sorry, it's not a road, so I guess path works. But the flagstones are level. There's like windblown detritus and debris that's just been blown into this narrow path and has just rested there for who knows how long. But you're kind of just poking around some of this debris thinking maybe there's something interesting in it, and you reach the conclusion that it is just trash as Cecil rounds the corner of the building.
Cecil, I found trash.
Good job, Momo.
Thank you. Thank you.
Anything interesting in the trash? Or is it just trash?
This is all of the trash that I have found. I have collected the trash and I found it. And I'm not very good at noticing things, but you are stellar, just a star when it comes to noticing things and figuring things out. So I thought maybe if I didn't find anything it was really interesting or cool, that maybe you could look at all this trash that I found and I put together in this big pile. Like I herded it together as if it were like sheep, but not. It's trash. So, but maybe you could do it.
You are a very good dog,
Thank
and
you.
I will see if there's anything in the trash.
Okay.
Again, it's a notice or search if you prefer. You'll find different
I am
things.
skilled in notice.
Okay, so yeah, let's add your proficiency bonus of +1 to a wisdom check, please.
17.
Okay. I guess a little breakdown for people who may be unfamiliar with the difference between notice and search. Search is more of a deduction-based thing, figuring out where stuff might be. Notice is just you stand back and look, pay attention to what you can see. With the 17, I mean, it is mostly just trash to be found in this alleyway, in this path. It's reasonably well maintained. You do see that there's like movement behind curtains on one of the upper floors on the building next to the Transylvanian Hounds. It's the angle's too awkward to tell whether they're looking at you or if they're just moving around in a room up there. You also do notice that it's probably this stretch of alleyway path hasn't been cleaned in quite some time because one of the pieces of trash is a flyer for a theatrical event that took place 2 months ago, say. But with a 17, what you do find is that one of the pieces of trash is a trying to think of the right word. It's not quite a poster, but it's kind of that style of thing. You know, it'll be stuck to that the outside of, I guess, a small poster suffices. But the quality of parchment is poor. The inking is blocky, hurried, and in an not terribly legible hand. It is advertising an event. It is advertising an event of musical distraction at a where is it? What do I call it? At a tavern called the Smelting Pot. And that is covered. Not covered, but that there's some like black gritty dust on it that doesn't match any of the paving stones, the material of the stone cliff behind you, or the bricks in the buildings nearby.
I point this out to Momo. And I ask them to show me where the broken window is, so I can.
Oh, you can see the broken window. That's.
Oh, cool.
But of course, and I'm speaking very loudly as I do this, I, Momo Momenta, world famous garbage collector, am here to show you all of this fantastic garbage that I have collected here in this alley for perfectly legal purposes.
Purposes as echoes off the cliff behind you.
Yes, of course.
Yes, so now I'm going to show you where I found this particular piece of garbage, which I'm very proud of collecting. It's over here. It was here. This is where I found it.
Great. And she's like, I'm assuming there's a reason we're talking really loudly. So she's just doing the same thing.
Momo takes you to the corner of the building where it kinks around the other side of the building from where Cecil approached. And it's not there. There's no more trash there, but there's a pile of like leaves, mostly weighted down by small rocks. And Momo, the small poster was kind of trapped beneath one of the rocks. And you can see there's a small tear in the corner where it's blown free.
Okay, cool. So, having not played Pugmire before this stream, we're dogs.
Your dogs.
There was a tuft of fur. How does smell and tracking work when you're an uplifted dog? Is there a thing, or is it just something we can do?
It would still be probably just still a notice check, which you do have advantage on. Please don't forget that, because you are both herders, and your herding trick gives you advantage on. Keen Observer gives you advantage on. Is it sight, smell, and sound based notice checks?
Okay, I wasn't sure if there was a separate like tracking skill. There might be.
No, the official like definition of the notice skill is it covers your character's awareness of their surroundings, noticing sudden changes in the environment, overall keenness of scent. Dogs value sight and smell equally. Sometimes a distinct smell is more useful than what a dog can see. Survive would be following tracks, so I guess it'd be a notice smell to find the scent. Sorry, a notice check to find the scent, and then survive to actually follow it to its source.
I do also have survive.
But you could also make an argument for search as well. The skill definitions do point out that search is different to notice because it's actively searching rather than reacting. Mm-hmm. But I'll use the two individually because I don't think any of you have search as a skill. And we're here to make your characters and you as players feel amazing. So.
Okay.
Info dump. I apologize.
No, you answered my question. Thank you. What do you think, Momo?
I think you could pull off a crimson if we really did it right. But also, I think we can rule out Afghans because they're too tall. You are much too tall. You are much too tall to go through the window. And also, you're not white. You're very not white.
I'm blonde, but
yes,
there are snowy Afghans.
Are there?
Yes.
I didn't know that. But they're still too tall, so it couldn't be that.
As you've mentioned that, if you would like to, I don't think you are, but are you proficient in no culture or no history?
Me?
Yes, Momo.
I am. I have no culture.
Okay, if you could make an intelligence check and add your +1 for being proficient in no culture.
What? And my intelligence is -1, so
I
did not do well on this.
You could spend fortune to re-roll it if you want with
No,
Rose's
this
permission.
is delightful. I want to be stupid.
Okay, no, that's fine. So yeah, really, as far as you're concerned, Momo, you've not met any of the other Transylvanian hound families. You have no idea what breeds they are. Apart from, obviously, the Afghan hounds have been pointed out to you. You've met the Transylvanian hounds, and they're more of a medium-sized dog. And the mare, the mare is a foxhound, and they're also, I think they're classed as medium-sized dogs as well. But any of the other families, they could be any height.
Don't know. Yeah. I didn't spend much time with hounds. No. Mostly herders, sometimes terriers. Also, the little ones that go on their legs and they fight badgers. Those guys, hardcore. That's what I know.
Yeah.
But I don't think it was any of them.
Okay, well, we can ask around and see what other noble families are around, but they also could have just hired someone.
But also, big brain idea. What if, and hear me out, what if it's not a dog? It could also be a not dog, because badgers have white fur. I don't know how big badgers are, though.
Did you just say it could be a not dog as like okay.
There are many not dogs in this world.
Yeah, some explanation about not dogs, I guess, in the world. Cats covers cats, as you'd expect. Rodents covers mice and rats. Badgers actually covers badgers and mustelids. They have this kind of like their own disparate society that is only now being unified. But they're, I guess, more nomadic clans than anything else, without using racially weighted terms like tribe. And then you've got your usual bandits and whatnot that live in the woods. Birds and lizards as well, but they don't have fur, so I omitted those.
It could be any sort of mammalian not dog, but not a bird or a lizard, because they don't have fur. I don't think they have fur. Do they have fur? I saw a chicken once that looked like it had fur, but I'm not sure. I don't think it could be that. I think then it would still be like a feather, right?
Oh, yeah, they have like very sort of stylized. I know the kind of chicken you're talking about, and I can't remember what it's called.
Fashion. It's a fashion chicken. Also,
I mean,
pigeons.
It looked like they had like sort of bell-bottom pants on, with
Yes.
the feathers were happening.
Very retro, very, very vintage. I loved it. Anyway, it could be a not dog.
It could be.
I don't know. What does it smell like? Do you know?
Well, based on the tuft of fur and how clear was the paw print in the flour?
It was reasonably clear. If you want like specific information about it, you might need to go back and study it in detail. But like it was clear enough to get a sense of it was from a small dog, and as I said, the way it had twisted as weight was put on it.
Okay, so maybe they have some kind of injury, or maybe it was just the way they entered the window. But the smudge is definitely something to remember. But yeah, the size of the print definitely supports the idea that it's a smaller creature. Perhaps a not dog. We don't want to limit ourselves. And examining, sniffing for, what would you like me to roll?
That would be a notice check. You have advantage on that because of your keen observer trick.
Okay, remind me. Advantage, I roll a d20 and I add my bonus and then the +1 for having the skill.
With advantage, you roll the d20 twice and pick the higher result, and then you get +1 to it because you're proficient in notice.
Thank you.
No worries.
Okay.
Dirty 20.
Okay, yes, there is a smell. It's basically you needed a 20 or more to smell it. It's extremely faint. Like the creature this fur came off of, it came off of it like 3 days ago, and it's been in a house full of its own smells. But under the smells that you took kind of absent notice of in the house, there is this kind of almost musty smell to it that stands out as it's not a smell you're particularly familiar with as someone who has grown up in dog society.
Musty.
Yeah.
Like, do you mean earthy? Or because like I'm sort of imagining her trying to place it.
Yeah, it's kind of this like damp or slightly sweet odor to it.
Okay. Length of the fur?
It's quite short. It's definitely not from a long-haired creature.
Not from another papillion.
No. And definitely not from an Afghan, however small they are.
Go on, I'm sorry.
I would like to state, for the record, it was not me. I was not here in Hounton at the time. It could not have been Momo.
Thank you, Momo.
You're welcome.
Momo, I assure you I knew it wasn't Momo.
Just Momo vibrates in her earnestness.
But I point out the sort of musky smell to Momo and say, I can't place this. Can you?
What do I roll?
Just trying to think. No, I'll I know not every GM does this, but I'm a big fan of turning things back on the players. Would Momo have had any contact with anything that lives underground?
No. Momo is an above ground dog. Momo is very clean and very fashion. It's important. No, nothing underground.
Then yeah, there's definitely a damp, musty smell, but
yeah,
beyond that, you've no idea.
I have no idea what this is. Never seen it before. Completely outside of my sphere.
That's okay.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
Good.
Just for the heck of it, can I try to follow this smell?
I'll say yes, but it's going to be a very, very difficult thing to do.
I'm gonna try it.
Okay.
Because I am a good dog.
This would more likely be a survival thing, unfortunately, because you are trying to like figure out where the scent's most likely to be and stuff.
I also have survive.
Okay, well there you go. That's also a wisdom check.
21.
21. Again, you need a 20. Mostly because I was like, at this level, no one's ever going to hit 25, so it's within the realm of possibility, but difficult. Yes, it's extremely faint, but you do manage to, and it does. It's been there for like 3 days, so you're sniffing bits of brick and following it away from the house to a more traveled thoroughfare, because this is a noble estate area. So people are usually here if they have a reason to be here, rather than just passing through. But it leads you back more towards the center of Hounton than up the hill to, well, in this instance, it'd be Castle Transylvanian Hound. The center of Hounton, for reference, is the spoil. Huge, like, heap of precariously balanced stones that have been there long enough that people have set up shacks to live in, kind of around it and on it. But you're a dog. You don't get that many strange looks for just sniffing brickwork and the ground as you follow the scent trail as far as you can.
And if anyone does give her a weird look, she does the good old-fashioned act with confidence and like she is doing exactly what she should be doing, because she is.
Yeah,
So
there's
her overwhelming confidence probably stops anyone from saying anything.
yeah, there's a cat that walks past, and they're wearing the like fine clothes of a merchant who's probably trying to appear slightly wealthier than they actually are. That's the vibe that they give off, and it's a very affected walk with a cane. And they do notice Cecil doing this, kind of stop to watch with the head cocked, just one eyebrow raised, almost as if they're about to say something, and then just that look of supreme, I'm doing what I'm supposed to be doing. They kind of just like shrug it off and just continue walking. There's very much a
better.
there's very much a kind of like, yeah, dogs are weird vibe as they walk away.
Okay. Well, that got me farther than I was expecting it to. You said this led us back towards the center of town.
Yeah,
it
leads you maybe, I guess, 2 streets over from where you were before it hits a reasonably wide road that almost runs like straight from the spoil to one of the gates on the outskirts of Houndton. At this time of day, because at this point we're heading on to like 10 o'clock at night as well. It's not terribly busy. People are either where they're going to be for the next couple of hours, or they've gone home. They're not on the streets themselves.
How close are we to this smelting pot?
Do you know where the smelting pot is?
We have the paper that says.
I mean, we know what it's called, but I don't think there's a map on it. Or
there's no address
but
on
we
it.
could, but we can ask.
Well, we can ask.
And
she looks sort of longingly towards the gate and is like, yeah, we should probably shouldn't wander through the hills at night when there's tunnels that things could be hiding in. Right?
You are the expert here. You are the genius, fantastic, amazing, stupendous, world-stopping finder of things. I cannot match your prowess because you are that good. You are just amazing. So I think maybe we should look up and down the street and see if we can find the smelting pot. Maybe. But then we should do your thing and go looking through tunnels. I don't like tunnels. I'm not a tunnel person. I'm not very tunnely. I don't like it when they get dirt underneath my nails. It's the whole thing. And I have to get a new manicure. And then we're not even where my manicurist is. So, but we can go.
Let's go find the smelting pot. And we can decide what to do from there.
Okay.
But I generally, it's going to be really depressing when I fail you at some point. And she turns around to look for the smelting pot.
No.
How are you? Are you just like walking random streets, looking around for a tavern called the Smelting Pot?
If there's a city guard or a local tradesperson, someone with a stand set up, you can ask them. And if no one's around, then yes, we will just wander.
Okay. You do see a couple of like street food stalls, but they are abandoned. The food on them has been like hurriedly pushed off of whatever heating surface they're using. If you do care to look for such things, the lock boxes have been securely locked. But you do find a 2-guard patrol emerging from a side street, heading towards the spoil, which kind of where you are right now dominates the skyline because it's just a huge heap of rocks with buildings on it.
Go get him, Momo.
Yes. Hello, guards. Hello, guards. Guards. Hello. It is hard to see me because I am small, but you should pay attention to me right now because I am right here and I need your attention. Guards, yes, hello.
Yeah, they're both like Great Danes. So they do kind of turn, and I think is it a fettle or some whatever the loose lips are called. No, fettle's a type of dog. It's got a name anyway, and they just kind of swing as they wildly look around before looking down as you point out that you are a small dog.
Hello, yes. Wow. First of all, wow, I have heard of Great Danes. I did not know how great they would be. I thought in my head, the image I have in my head of what a Great Dane would be is actually pretty mediocre compared to you. You are, that was an okay Dane. You are great. First of all, you are the best at being a Dane. Oh my gosh, right here for it. Anyway, what I need to know, Momo Discretion Momenta, world famous garbage collector. What I need to know, I collected some garbage. This is the garbage that I collected earlier. This is fantastic garbage. I need to know more about this garbage. Where is the smelting pot?
The Momo-induced confusion lasts longer than usual as they kind of share a look to judge if they're as confused as the other patrol member is. But the one with the sergeant's insignia on their like breastplate, because they are armored, and they've got swords that are basically as long as Momo is tall. Kind of kneels down. It's not at eye level with Momo, but it's closer at least. You are a small, strange dog.
Yes.
The smelting pot is that way, and it points basically in the direction they were going. It's kind of over his shoulder.
Unless he stops me, gonna grab him by the face and give him a big kiss on the nose. Mwah! Yes, perfection, amazing, amazing.
No, he doesn't stop
amazing.
You. He doesn't stop you because he's completely blindsided by it. His partner doesn't stop you because they just find it hilarious. Because you're not obviously hostile or dangerous in any way.
Why would I be? Everyone is my friend.
Exactly. And as he is reeling is the wrong word, but as I guess the Momo-shaped reality is asserting itself over his reality, his partner does break in with, although you may not find it as welcoming as usual. Something has happened on the spoil.
Gasp! Tell me.
If you are, we don't know. We're going there now. But if you are going to spoil, please be careful. It is unstable, and we would hope for more injuries, any injuries, to occur.
Of course. Will you at least see us to the smelting pot? Because it is on your way. You were going there, yes?
The sergeant stands. We'll take you to the end of the road and point you in the right direction.
Okay. Thank you. With all my heart. Gratitude beyond measure.
I think they get it, Momo.
Okay.
So unless you do anything else to distract them or otherwise Momo them, they will lead you to the end of the road, and then the road has this kind of it's one of those situations where there was probably something or a lot of some things here before the spoil was here, so you can kind of see foundations sticking up out of the earth on the other side of the road. But because of the way that the spoil has grown and been adapted by the city into more living space, the air quotes road around it is the original road plus any just space that isn't taken up by rocks, rubble, or housing. So it's just this weird mixture of hard packed earth and then stone foundations where they break through every now and then, and it's not only one side of the road is straight because the other side is just rocks. But they point you to the right, where you can see the road curves around the nearest kind of outcropping of the spoil heap from here, and they head off to the left. But you are given the direction, go that way, so take the first left up the spoil itself.
I have only this fragment of an old human hymn, and I will bless you with it now. Although we've come to the end of the road, still I can't let go. Many blessings upon you, good boys and girls. And then I'll just turn abruptly and go.
Okay. They share a look and then head off their direction.
Thank you.
There's kind of a like in the tone of a no, really don't mention it. There's a yeah, don't mention it. So the spoil to your left, and I'm describing in vague terms of rocks and housing, but these rocks are all just rocks that have been taken from the mines and dumped here. They're not big rocks; they're small rocks, and you can see certainly for like 5 or 10 feet beneath the shacks that you walk past, people have tried to use crude mortar or wattling, which is this like lime and straw mix, just to plug in the gaps to give it some kind of stability. People who live here are almost certainly living here because they can't live anywhere else, and they are, in most instances, probably aware of the dangers, but maybe not. Maybe it's just where they like to live. So when you come to the road, it is that you are assured will take you to the smelting pot. It is a road in the loosest possible sense of the term, in that people just seem to have filled all of the gaps between these chunks of rock that at their biggest are probably no larger than Sigmund's torso, just with dirt and hard-packed gravel to give it some structure and some stability. And every now and then, when there's a larger one that's kind of broken through, you could just see where someone has taken maybe a pickaxe to it, some kind of mining tool, and made a step out of it. This is not an accessible road. It is not a safe road. And the question of whether it's a road or not is answered only by the fact that you've been told it's a road. But it reputedly takes you where you want to go, and it goes up maybe like 20 feet and then just follows the curve of the spoil around out of view. And in those 20 feet, you can see maybe 4 shacks that just front directly onto it, and they're not terribly well made. One of them's kind of leaning askew as it is, and if the just looking at them, if the rocks that they're built on shift even slightly, all 4 of those are probably going to collapse. But curiously, there's no one around, and you can't hear any signs of either movement or people sleeping or talking inside these shacks.
And you had said that the food carts we had passed, it looked like they were, like the lockboxes were stowed, so people weren't fleeing for their lives, but it looked like it was done hurriedly.
Yeah, they'd left for a purpose swiftly.
Okay, and the town guard mentioned that the spoil was unstable.
Mm-hmm.
So this might just be something that happens every once in a while.
Yep, then there was an earth tremor earlier in the evening.
Yeah. Okay. And so we're probably not going to find anyone in the spoil right now. They've probably left, but that doesn't mean that. So they might be at the smelting pot if anyone living in the area needed to go somewhere. But that's more relevant in that Cecil doesn't think anyone is around to hear her talk right now with Momo. And she says, Momo, given that you followed that set towards the spoil and the type of area it is, maybe folks that wouldn't be above taking a job, even if it is breaking and entering. She looks around like, not that I've ever done that, I'm a good dog, but it could be possible that someone was hired to do that break-in and came back to the spoil where they live, or they were meeting someone. It could be a clandestine type of thing. But I do think at some point, preferably during the day, we are going to have to look at the tunnels in case any of them are under the spoil. What do you think?
I think you are brilliant. I think you are correct. I think we should look at the tunnels under the spoil after I've gotten gloves because, again, manicure. But also, if maybe if they hired someone to do this and they are part of clandestine, maybe what we could do is find out if somebody else would be willing to be hired or would know about how to hire someone like this. Like maybe there's a guild or maybe it's a union. I don't know. Do they have dental? That's important to find out. What is the vacation scheme like? Anyway, we could talk to them.
Momo, I know how to hire people like that. I am people like that.
Fantastic. Oh God, you're so amazing.
Everyone needs a hype person like Momo.
Yeah. I didn't even know until I met you that this was possible. Mind blowing. Anyway, yes. But would you know where here in the spoil where we could go to find these people and hire them?
Not yet, but smelting pot's a good place to start.
Let's do that. Let's do. I could never. I am not that kind of dog. We are all good in our own way. We all have jobs that we must do. And you are good at your job.
Thank you, Mom.
You're welcome. Absolutely. Let's go.
So where do you go?
To the smelting pot.
Okay. So you follow the trail up, and it's or the road. It's unnerving at first, but eventually, you kind of get used to the way that occasionally something shifts beneath your feet. Not often enough that it's a constant danger, but you kind of get into you get into a rhythm of oh gosh, oh man, with a capital M, and then the heart rate calms down. You go a few more paces, and then it goes again. But it's just for the wag of a tail. It's not anything particularly. It's basically a jump scare rather than an actual danger of falling through the spoil heap, because there's a lot of stones here, and it just kind of shifts and rests against a different one. But you go in this manner for maybe 5-10 minutes, growing accustomed to it, before you reach what you could generously describe as a tavern if you kind of cock your head and squint. It's the size of 2 shacks. It's pretty much everything here is one story, just because a shack's not terribly good for weight bearing, for bearing the weight of a second floor. But it's got a huge double door. It's currently thrown open. You can hear the sound of a fire crackling. You can smell like wood burning, and you can see the light cast brightly through these double doors. You can't hear any conversation that you would expect to hear, such as you would expect to hear from a tavern at about 20 past 10 in the evening. You can hear movement, but it's like the movement of one dog or cat or whatever. One person.
Maybe everyone cleared out when the trimmer happened? I hope everyone's okay in there.
Maybe. I don't know enough about tremors to make any sort of assessment in that direction. But somebody is there. Somebody's there. Maybe we can find out if they're open for business.
Yeah, let's go check.
Do you
Or
want me
at
to
least
do
let
that?
them
I
look
will
around.
do that. Do you want me to do that?
Yes, we should do that.
Okay. And I will go right up to the door and I will knock. Yes, hello, I have money. I will give you plastic in exchange for goods and services. Yes, hello. It is I, Momo.
It's kind of like elderly female voice. The edges kind of worn smooth by her age, probably. Replies, "If you've got plastic, welcome here."
Yay! Okay, great. Fantastic. I love you already. Let's go.
And stepping in, it's definitely a tavern. It has a huge fire kind of in the middle of the floor. It's a fire pit. It's kind of there's this maybe knee high for Cecil, so like lower chest, I guess, for Momo. Almost like clay lip going around the outside of it, and this thing is 10, 15 feet across. It is a big fire, and it's kicking out a lot of heat. And yeah, there are tables, there are chairs, there are booths along one wall. There is a stage on the other side of the fire, set up for a band, but currently empty. And then on the other wall, so to the left as you step in, it's just this like vast array of bottles and barrels behind a low wooden bar. And resting her elbows on the bar is an elderly Alsatian. And she looks down at you and gives like this tired smile. And she's wearing just like common, well looked after clothing. You can see where she's repaired kind of the heavy blue fabric multiple times, and she's got a rag peeking out of the apron, the pocket of the apron she wears, and she just kind of beckons you over. If you've got plastic, take your seat.
Yes, hello. Love this huge fire pit. Oh my gosh, I would not have expected, looking at this from the outside, that you have such a fantastic statement piece. It makes such a huge statement about your establishment, and I am just in love. Do you have live music? I love live music. I mean, obviously you don't have live music now, but I am such a sucker for a good house band. Or maybe like a nice little intimate instrumental, some love songs to really get the mood going, very vibey, or dancing. Ooh, I love dancing. Anyway, drinking. Yes, we will take a drink each. Yes, drinks. We drink liquids.
Whatever's local is fine.
She blinks slowly, like clearly accustomed to odd customers in the tavern. And then she raises a paw and kind of checks things off. 1, that's the smelting pot. 2, yes, we do have live music. Our current band, they ran out to see what they could do to help with the aftermath of the tremor.
Mm.
And 3, these are all local. And she walks to one end of the bar where there's this like separate shelf of bottles and barrels. We've got some spirits and we've got some ales.
Take an ale.
Okay, she grabs 2 tankards, asks you for like 1 plastic coin, and fills them and slides them over to you.
She will get the nicest, shiniest piece of plastic that I have.
She smiles appreciatively as she notices how shiny the plastic coin is.
This is, yes, fantastic. Smelting. I get it. It's a smelting pot. You smelt things. It's like melting, but with an S. I understand. I'm on board. I see this.
It's a blacksmithing, metalworking thing.
Wow. I did not know that.
Anyway. Yeah, this is and she begins in the tone of voice of someone who has told this many times before and is always happy to say it. But obviously, if you want to interrupt, you can. Yeah, it's actually from one of the founding minds. My great great grandpa was the four person, and when the workings ran out, well, some context, I guess. More importantly, the powers that be, and she kind of spits on the ground behind the bar to give you her opinion of the powers that be, decided that they would entirely cut out as much of the middle person as they could by smelting the metal on site, which, if you've ever tried to smelt metal in a small, confined mine, well, it produces a lot of toxic smoke. But when the mine eventually ran out, my great etc. Grandpa, well, he stole it. Not alone, obviously. It's pretty huge and it's pretty heavy. But he and a couple of mates took it from where it was in storage. Tried burying it because it was more just a they could rather than they wanted it kind of thing. And well, you can see how successfully they buried it. And she kind of gestures to the fact that there's like 3 feet of clay pot just sticking up out of the ground. It turns out this part of the spoil is particularly dense, so we have a very stable floor. And she stamps on it quite enthusiastically. But it's also really bad for hiding big things.
But yeah, it sounded like he at one point was a poor person pauper, and that's, you know, such a rags to riches story. Fantastic. And now he has, well, you have, but because of him, you have this fantastic establishment that is so stable and sturdy. Here in the spoil, we're newcomers, so the tremor just caught us off guard. We didn't know what was going on. I've never been anywhere near a mine, so this all new to me. Fantastic. Everything is an experience, and we must enjoy all our experiences to the fullest to learn what they have to give us. Anyway, this ale, amazing. Love it. 10 out of 10. If we had stars and there was like a swipe I could do, I would swipe and give you stars. But I can't, because that is not a thing here. Anyway, what we want to know more about this music. Why did your musicians go to help people? Are they not musicians all the time, or are they also other people sometimes too?
Well, then, I mean, no one here is anything other than a miner, really. If you look around, if you live here, you've got nowhere else to be, really. It's pretty much everyone's a miner, but some of the miners, you know, they sing to pass the time. They sing to set a rhythm going. I used to on my breaks help with a drum beat in the mines. So it's more just people who want to let off music, and you know, at the minute they're okay. We've had better, but we've had just kind of stares into the middle distance, just at this vaguely like reflective patch on the oiled wood of the bar. Worse, but you know how us dogs are. When someone comes to you and help, we help. For help, we help, and well, one of the regulars came in saying that a large part of Spoil Row had collapsed into the heap itself. So pretty much everyone took off to go and, you know, help dig out where they could, or rebuild, or shore up to what's left to stop that falling in.
Tragic. Absolutely tragic. Oh my gosh. I would help, except I'm very small. And also I have a manicure, so I don't do digging at all. I do other things though. I'm very fast. I'm good at directing things and putting things together and helping people. Also, you know, you're not out helping, but that's okay. I understand. You have a duty to guard, to be here in this place, to receive guests like ourselves.
I mean, yes. Also, I'm not sure what I can. She gives you like a sigh. I'm old. I'm not sure that my time is best spent there when I could spend it here keeping the food going for people to return to.
Yes. This is hard work, and they're going to need food and maybe drinks. What if I were to pay for food for tonight for anyone who comes back.
I mean, if you're offering to, I don't think anyone would mind. I certainly wouldn't.
I mean, I can do that, yeah?
If you have, so mechanically, I guess if you have some plastic coins, you can. This would be more you downgrade it to a few plastic coins if we were using the coin track. But yeah, you're more than happy. If you want to spend the money, you can spend the plastic and pay for food for anyone who needs it tonight.
Yes, I will do that. I will, especially if houses fell down. Maybe there were kids, maybe there were people with families, and then the people with families and kids would need like something to eat, a place to stay, even for a couple hours till we work something out, and then that's settled.
Yeah, well, two things. Well, before I give her a reply in character, I'm increasing the fortune in the fortune pool to 4 because that was a very, very good thing to do, very in character thing to do. But her replies. I mean, I've done similar things before. The pups really like it when we put some sheets over the booths and they pretend they're in caves.
Yes. Oh, like a sleepover, like a slumber party blanket fort. I am all about that. Let's do that.
But yeah, you can slide some plastic across the bar, and she takes it into the lockbox and assures you that it will go towards feeding people if they need it, or shelter if they need it tonight.
Yes. Yes. Fantastic. I love this. Love it. Community spirit, giving back. I mean, this isn't our community, obviously. Obviously, we're new here, but this is your community, and I want to help however I can.
Mm-hmm.
I'm that kind of dog. It's good. It's good.
Cecil, as Momo's talking, you can hear people, like a crowd approaching from outside. And only a moment or two later, Momo will hear it as well, because you're both very keen observers. But, Momo's talking, so distracting herself. But would you like to react to that information anyway before the crowd arrives?
So since the crowd is coming and Momo, how could I forget Momo's name for even a second? Momo has put forward some plastic to help with that. She's gonna start helping out. Cecil's probably worked in taverns in various places before. She certainly never had a manicure or anything like that. So she's gonna, help people get comfortable and make sure they're fed. And her goal really is to talk to folks a bit and maybe get the lay of the land a little, and maybe start to figure out the answer to some of those questions Momo had asked earlier. If you needed a certain type of dog to do a certain type of thing, who might you ask? Do the sort of the not fast talk. A little bit of digging, but under the guise of just getting people comfortable and stuff.
Yeah. Okay. So the lay of the so a crowd of dogs with a couple of cats mixed in as well kind of enter the tavern, and they're covered in dust. They're chatting. They're not like rowdy or boisterous, but they're talking quite loudly with each other. But it's that kind of tone of thank the old ones, it wasn't us kind of situation. But with the fact that you've paid for food, and with the fact that you are helping to serve and wait on them, no rolls required for the lay of the land at the very least. And over the course of the next half hour or so, you learn that Spoiler Row, which is relatively close by, most of the shacks on it have fallen inwards as the something within the heap gave out, and just basically a giant sinkhole opened up. A couple of people have been killed, trapped in the rubble, But they have rescued most of the people who lived in those shacks. Some are injured and have been taken to the local either like Church of Man for what assistance they can provide. And actually, no, they're all poor here. They'll all have gone to the Church of Man to see what charitable assistance could be provided. The crowd are not terribly optimistic that they'll find anyone else because most of them are dogs, very keen sense of smell, and they're not terribly optimistic that the Church of Man will be able to help a couple of the victims, but they are definitely, as you imagine, quite a few groups of people are at this time, whether citizens of Hampton or civic plan or like town guard, that kind of thing. Definitely planning on how to shore the surrounding area up to stop this happening again. And this appears to... The tone of the conversation is not that this is something that happens often, but it's something that does happen from time to time, and the city can deal with it. It kind of feels like the people here think that they have been largely forgotten or left to their own devices by the Hound families. But when something like this does happen, the Hound families do step up in some like long forgotten sense of noblesse oblige, and do actually pay for timber, and they do pay a nominal fee to people who help in the rebuilding process. So much so that it's kind of a lottery system, and you gather that the administrative side of things will take a while to get going, but once it gets going, the situation will be dealt with. So maybe it's going to be there for like 2 days before anything really starts happening with rebuilding or shoring it up. For the other before the other thing, is there any more lay of the land information you would like, either of you, because you're both in this tavern right now?
Are there some families that are more inclined to contribute, or some families that are perhaps less inclined to contribute because they're greedy?
I assume you mean that the Hound families specifically. Yeah. Please let me consult my notes on the Hound families. The Afghans generally will help. So this, I'll give you all of the Hound families and how they would react to this. The general vibe from what you can overhear is that the Afghans generally will help out of a sense of obligation. The Basset Hounds is kind of a mixed bag, whether they will or won't. They largely keep to the upper crust of society. The Foxhounds will help, but the tavern seems divided on whether or not that's because they genuinely want to help or because Linda Foxhound wants to guarantee that her family remains mayor when she retires or dies. Where am I notes on the Greyhounds? The Greyhounds, much like the Afghan Hounds, they will help out of a sense of obligation. The Transylvanian Hounds, they will help, but they won't be able to help much because of their financial situation. But they are, like, you hear people talking about how, like, Lachlan and Carolyn themselves do pitch in physically, whereas the other ones are more likely to just send money or resources. And the Wolfhounds will help, and are reasonably well regarded. Certainly, Victoria Wolfhound, the Wolfhound's daughter, the Wolfhound's eldest daughter, she seems particularly well regarded among the people of certainly this tavern. If you would like to make I guess it'd be charisma sense motive check. So a charisma check, and if you're proficient in sense motive, you can add +1. For more information about about specifically Victoria, you can. If not, it's totally fine. Either of you could do this.
That is a charisma. Is 8.
Nat 20.
Oh well, that's
I am slinging those drinks.
That's a triumph. In game terms. I'll double check to see if that adds to the fortune bowl. It does not. So with an 8, there's a lot going on for Momo. A lot of the dogs here are taller than you are, and they're talking loudly. Even the cats, most of those are taller than you are as well. But the Cecil's kind of like taking more of a read of the room. Whenever anyone is talking about Victoria in the she'd be the landlady in the landlady's earshot, her body language shifts from one of like open conviviality. Like, she genuinely enjoys running a tavern. She's happy that people are here and are uninjured and did the best job they could. Her body language shifts to one of almost trepidation. Like, she doesn't want to meet Victoria Wolfhound under any circumstances. It's up to you if you want to pursue that or not. I'm going to hydrate. And as for the other matter about finding help, that would be a charisma persuasion check. Persuade, I think. There's my cheat sheet. I've got so many windows open right now. Yeah, charisma persuade check.
Is that one or both of us?
That'll be for Cecil specifically. Okay. Unless Momo is also trying to figure out how to hire someone.
No, Momo
down low.
Momo's got one skill and she uses it as far as she can.
12, and I know how it works in some similar fantasy style settings. Are there thieves guilds?
I'm desperately trying to remember. I don't think there is like an official thieves guild.
Okay.
In the rulebook, but there's like, you drop enough loaded keywords that you get some responses.
It's, even if there's not a thieves guild, there's probably like a thieves cant or something like that.
Yeah, you know the right questions to ask, essentially to get what you need. And like, ratters are an established part of society as well. So you are, from a couple of places, gather that the spoil is probably the best place to hire people, no questions asked, and as long as you're not actively, breaking the law, no one will really look too much into your business. But largely it depends on the job you have in mind.
And she doesn't give any details or anything like that, just that they're new in town and she's just curious.
Yeah. No, people are like accepting of that, and certainly this is definitely a place where they know the regulars, they know who lives in the area. But yeah, so essentially there's generally people looking for work on the spoil, whether they're ineligible to work in the mines for whatever reason, or they've lost the employment that they had recently, and they're looking for a couple of kinds of plastic to tide them over until they find the next work. It's definitely the place to go for, I'm not going to say cannon fodder, but it's definitely a place to go for people who you pay for one job and you never see them again. And they generally, it's one of those I won't tell if you don't mentalities. Certainly among the clientele here.
Able-bodied, discreet employment.
yes, definitely discretion is the name of the game here, and you do also learn. Also, welcome in raiders. Thank you for the raid. You do also. I would give a shout out via command, but I don't know if that has been programmed into the chatbot. The general consensus is that the guard don't, unless they have a reason to be here, they generally leave the spoil alone. It's not left to self-police. They will police it, but they stick more to the outskirts of the spoil because it's just safer, and they also know where all the roads are to get to places that they need to get to. For the raiders just joining us, we're using the current playtest rules for the Realms of Pugmire 2nd edition. The general elevator pitch of which is D&D, but with dogs, which is why I will make reference to paws and tails and sniffing things. But welcome in. But yeah, so yeah, you get the information that you want anyway, unless you have further questions. Yes, and also the makeup.
No, I think those are the basic questions that Cecil has at this point in time.
Okay.
And of course, it's always good to have some goodwill.
Yes.
From, if in case she ends up running from somebody at some point while in town.
You know
these
what?
are probably the folks that would be helpful.
Why don't both of you make a charisma save? You have advantage because of everything you've done here. Actually, no. What you've done here is giving you this opportunity. Sorry. If you have the black dot filled in next to it, you have advantage though. Just a charisma saving throw, please.
I must have spilled somebody's drink because I got a 3.
11.
Okay. You do have 4 points in the fortune bowl if you would like to spend one of them to reroll.
Is that okay with you, Momo?
Sure.
Okay. That's significantly better. That's a 19.
Okay. Yeah, you get the read of the room, so you've probably earned a significant amount of goodwill. Certainly among the people here for, paying for their food for the evening. And helping find shelter for them. You do also learn the location of Spoil Row, and for future reference, if that would be of interest.
Definitely. And this might be a question that's better answered like once we actually go to look at the spoil. But if it's just a bunch of rocks that have all been piled together, is there a possibility that there's a hollow space in there? Like, could there have been a disturbance because someone has been going in and out? And could that person have been like the individual that stole from the Transylvanians? So she's not going to ask anything obvious like that, but that's definitely something that she's going to be looking out for.
No, of course. I mean, you are pioneers. Would you, as a unit, a party, what have you, have had any cause to visit mines in the past, whether working or abandoned?
Moma has explicitly said she does not do mines, so
Okay.
I'm going to say no on my regard, but maybe Cecil has.
I think Cecil's probably been in mines occasionally, definitely sewers. I think that she's probably more of a coastal fish market type of upbringing style person.
No, that's fine. I mean, that would explain the Free Spirit, because Waterdog Port is not a part of anything, politically speaking. It's fiercely independent. What limited experience you have to such things is that spoil heaps usually aren't this large, for one, but these are 5 mines that have been here for quite some time and have been working constantly throughout that. But, I mean, it's this... generally speaking, if you pile rocks on top of each other, yes, there'll be gaps, but they'll make the way the rocks will fall, gravity will ensure the gaps are as small as possible so that the rocks, rest and don't fall. So if there is a hollow space under the spoil, to the extent that a sinkhole has formed, it's almost certainly artificial. No one in the Smelting Pot Tavern even mentions that. They clearly just think that it's a horrendous accident.
But would they know?
They are likely to know such things, but it might just be that it's a recent tragedy, or they're just so used to the spoil being unstable that a large slip of this nature, well, like, it's probably had landslips in the past, so a sinkhole isn't technically out of the realm of possibility as far as they're concerned. But if they stop to think about it for any length of time, over the next day or two, they'll probably come to the same conclusion that this almost certainly hasn't happened naturally.
Okay.
I have forgotten the English word for this, and I'm so sorry. The opposite of a sinkhole, in Danish, it translates to stonefall, when you have stones that...
Avalanche?
Yes! Sorry, I keep forgetting that word. I'm so bad at this.
That's all good.
Is that within the realm of possibility?
Yes, I mean, you've triggered several small ones just by hitting loose stones on your way up. Not to the extent that a shack would be damaged by them, but just like loose edging stones and gravel on the thing. So people have definitely been mentioning things like that in talking. After any tragedy, you're going to get that group of people who talk about older tragedies and things of that nature, and you overhear conversations about landslips, avalanches, that kind of thing. But specifically, no sinkholes.
Storyteller, what time is it now? You had mentioned it was already pretty late.
Oh yeah, this is pushing midnight.
Okay. We should probably find somewhere to rest for the night and maybe check on Sigmund.
Yeah, I'll just retcon that Larissa said that they'd made rooms available to you in the Transylvania Hound
That's sweet.
townhouse. You get the feeling that there's far more space there than they actually need.
Well, that would make sense if they had more staff at some point that they no longer employ.
Also, if you wanted to, as far as you're aware, the Castle Transylvanian Hound is just an abandoned ruin. But equally, there's taverns and inns you can rent a house in. The possibilities are not endless, but varied.
Well, I guess as we leave the tavern to think on it, Cecil brings up that she's not sure if they want to be seen coming and going frequently from the Transylvanian Hound's house, just because they're supposed to be discreet. But she is also wondering, and she makes sure that no one is around to hear when she says this, that if a sinkhole is being orchestrated, then it might put a strain on the hound families, and it's very close to when the ball is. So that might not be a coincidence. And if the Transylvanian hounds are much more likely to be helpful than the other families, could this be a way to finish putting them down or demonstrate how little they have now and the fact that they are no longer in the proper standing to be a great family, or whatever the term is? I think Lee agrees with me, maybe. Yeah.
Momo's losing her mind.
the conspiracies. It's all connected. Yes, and there's the thing and the sinkhole, and also it would ruin them. Also, if we connected it to their old minds that aren't as good. Yes, it's a web of lies and deceit.
I sort of imagine Momo like hopping up onto something and grabbing Cecil's face and being like, ah, in my face. Yeah. Okay. All the energy.
Yes, that is what happens when Momo has ideas and she needs to communicate, but she is too small. She makes herself tall because tall is a state of mind, and you can get tall if you stand on things.
100%.
She would just because if you cannot come to eye, the Great Danes could not come to eye level with me because I am so small and they are so great. But if I stand on things, then I am at their level, and I am that great.
I feel like
Most definitely.
I feel like Cecil's making a mental note that Sigmund's going solo with Momo next time.
Nah, Momo's a joy. Okay. So, next steps, I guess, find somewhere to bunk down and decide what we're doing in the morning, or I really want to go on.
Is there room for us here?
You can ask.
You've certainly generated enough goodwill. I mean, there are a couple of as the evening's gone on, a couple of like obviously families even more covered in rock dust than the people who went to help, and they've obviously taken the time to salvage what they could from their homes, because they have turned up with like bindles and baskets full of personal items, and the Moira, the landlady, as she introduces herself at some point during the night, does kind of direct them towards the booths where she's erected some like crude privacy screens just with sheets hanging from the ceiling. So there is you probably could get some have enough goodwill to arrange lodging, at least for tonight.
If necessary, we could dogpile.
I'm not above cozying down by this massive fire and dogpile. Yes.
It's something that civilized dogs do.
Of course. We're all friends. Okay.
Lee, that joke is incredible in Twitch chat.
It's a very, very good joke.
I guess for the benefit of future viewers on YouTube, Lee has typed, I mean, even if they have a bindle and stick, no hobo, which great play on words. Yeah, so are you seeking lodging here for the night? Because, as I say, you think you probably could get away with it.
I think so. And we could send word. We could just let Sigmund know where we are if he wakes up. He's napping. He's an old guy, but that's okay. That's okay. He's a good boy. And we should let him sleep. But also maybe he can meet us here next time, later, tomorrow. He could be Moira, and there could be other old dogs, and they could be, friends. Good friends. Old good friends. Like everyone's friends.
The only other thing on Cecil's mind, and she knows it's ill-advised and an awful idea, is potentially trying to go take a look at the spoil now, because it will be dark and no one else will. There are likely to be fewer people there than during the day tomorrow. However, it's an awful idea. Even she is aware of that. And she would certainly not want to bring Momo with her, because if Momo barks at the wrong time, it could be disastrous. Love her, but this is something that Cecil might have to do on her own, but I want to check with the party.
It's okay. It's okay. It's okay. Because what I can do, I can stay here instead. And also, I can help them because they're dirty and they have dust and rocks and everything. I can help groom them and make them feel beautiful again because they are beautiful. But right now, it's kind of hard to feel beautiful when your like house falls down on you and you could everything gets crushed and but if we groom each other, we have to groom, we have to be clean. It's fun to roll around in the dirt and the mud. I get it, I get it. I like to go mudding too, but right now we need to be clean and beautiful and also gossip. So it's okay. It's okay, Cecil. It's okay. It's okay. You're a good dog. You go do that. You have to do what you do best. Yeah.
Then I'm gonna go do the stupid.
Okay. Yeah, so you know roughly where it is based on the conversations that you have overheard in the smelting pot town. And it's basically you followed the road that you followed to get here, just a bit further on, take a crossroad to kind of switch back on yourself to be a bit further up on the spoil and around another outcropping. I'm gonna assume that at some point during this you're gonna want to roll a sneak check for some kind of stealth. Because I might be a kind of benevolent guide, but I'm not going to give you that for free.
Yeah, I'm gonna need to do something of that nature. Is that a dex?
Yes, it's a dexterity-based check. And if you're proficient in sneak, add +1 to whatever you roll on the d20 after adding your dexterity modifier.
14.
Okay. I will do a token roll. With advantage, because there's more than one guard. As you approach, you do hear the sounds of movement and of like armor creaking slightly. But you have enough time to duck behind like a particularly large rock just on the spur of the outcropping as a patrol walks past you, and they don't seem to have noticed you, and you kind of peel around the rock as they reach the probably at the end of their patrol route, and from the sound of it, as you duck out of sight on the other side, turn around. But because it's a sinkhole, there is plenty of cover. The rocks that have been held in place for decades, maybe centuries at this point, by just the weight of the rocks around them, are everywhere. The road is covered in loose rock. The middle 3 shacks on what you believe is called Spoil Row, on this area of it at least, are gone completely, save for a few spurs of wood sticking up as skeletons. The 2 end ones are leaning inwards at very uncomfortable angles, and you suspect that the people who lived in them are no longer in them, just in case they collapse overnight. And even as you kind of take this in and hear the guards behind you giving you like a split second to decide what to do next, there is the distinctive tuk-tuk-tuk of rocks shifting and falling from further up the spoil. But you can see numerous places you could attempt to hide while the patrol, presumably, like they have a longer patrol route in the other direction. There's further up the hill. There's a couple of like larger cracks between larger rocks you could hide in, and there is the sinkhole itself you could potentially burrow into slightly, just to get out of eyesight.
She will do that. She won't burrow at this point in time, but she definitely hides and watches them leave.
Okay. I guess, can I have... I suppose it would be a notice check, please.
And that was another nat 20.
Okay. So another
So
triumph.
I'm going to keep this dice
Yeah.
right by my hand.
No, that's a good one. So a brief note on how like the mechanics work. There's no passive perception or passive scores in Pugmire. That's what saving throws are used for. So, for example, if you're going down a trap-filled corridor and you would notice a trap because of passive perception in other games, in this it will be a wisdom saving throw. But I assumed that you were actively searching for stuff while you were hiding from the patrols. So that's on me for assuming it, but with a natural 20, I'm sure you're fine with that assumption. The guards are remaining very quiet and professional. They are not conversing with each other. They're clearly on high alert for either the sounds of anyone else trapped, the sounds of further activity at the site, or for people who are here for whatever purpose, be it benign or other. But you also do notice, as you kind of duck into the slight lip caused by the sinkhole, there is a faint draft from the bottom of the hole. You probably wouldn't have noticed it if you have shorter fur, but the ends of your fur are definitely moving.
I'm going to follow that draft.
Okay. Following it leads you to as the guards kind of step awkwardly over the debris on the rock. With what little moonlight there is, and the starlight less useful, but still might help, it kind of throws this entire scene into this monochrome black and white, almost shardscape. Everything has a very sharp outline to it. And using that to kind of put your paws carefully where you won't trip or cause more noise, rocks to fall. Following that slight draft, you end up ducking under the broken doorway of one of the shacks, and within you can see it's like someone has partially buried the house, because it's basically what's happened. Except all of the timbers are broken inwards and are almost like grasping for your fur, for your armor. You can see where a table has been thrown violently against one wall by a rock as it hit one end of it, snapping it. You can see a couple of chairs sticking out. You can see where rocks have clearly been moved by presumably rescuers, because occasionally there's a bloodstain on one or two of them. As far as we're going for, trigger warning purposes. But you follow that draft and it takes you to behind the table thrown against the wall, and there is a gap, maybe the size of... I was trying to think of an accurate size for the image I'm trying to conjure up. Maybe like a watermelon-sized gap between some rocks.
So Momo-sized.
Momo's torso-sized. Sigmund's head. Gap between some rocks where, in what little light makes it this far into the house, and you're working in very low light conditions. Do you have low light vision? I think it's called. I don't think you do. I can't remember if any of your starting tricks gave it to you.
No.
Okay, so all you can see is shadow in the gap between these rocks.
But I do have 2 hooded lanterns.
Okay, you can light one.
If I am within the pile of rubble at this point, I am going to light one to try to get a better look.
Yeah, you're well hidden from the road at this point. So you can light the lantern easily enough. And in the warm golden light from the narrow aperture, you see that there are no rocks beneath these 3 huge chest-sized rocks that have fallen together. There's just void. You're only maybe 4 feet below the road level at this point. So, depending on how stacked the spoil was at this point, the house has fallen maybe 5 or 6 feet into the heap itself. But there's definitely a space down there.
Okay. I was really hoping I wasn't right about that. And based on your description, I don't think I can get into that lower space right now.
You would have to use a dice roll for it. There would be a traverse check. Momo would probably get in fine. If you did want to bring Sigmund in on it, that would prove an issue.
She doesn't have traverse, but she's gonna try.
Traverse is keyed off of your Constitution modifier.
She has a +1 con, so we'll see how that.
Roll d20 and add 1 to it then.
Okay, see if this d20 is kind to me again. So that's a 16.
Okay, nah, that's enough. It was a 15. Was what you needed. So, it's tight getting in, but you do get in with a minimum of excess noise more than anything, obviously, or jostling the stones themselves. And as you kind of, do you go head or feet first? Is an important question.
Feet first. Never stick your head somewhere you can't see.
That's what I suspected, but I wanted to check. As you get through, you're most of the way through. I'm assuming that you're like between 5.5 and 6 feet tall as an Afghan, because they're quite tall dogs. So you're maybe like 5 feet ish through when your paws hit hit rock specifically, and you kind of have a weird squeeze to force your like shoulders, neck, and head through with the long Afghan snout. It's kind of like turning your head almost to be in complete line with your neck as you go down, but you have to crouch in this 3.5 foot, 4 foot high tunnel. But it is a tunnel. As you bring the hooded lantern down, you can see that even though that some of it has collapsed, you can see that it's still reasonably intact. There are support. It's been shored up from the inside, but you can see where the tremor presumably caused some rocks to hit the support beams at the wrong angle, and you can see where they've snapped. And there are some rocks that are kind of scattered across the tunnel itself. It's, as I say, 3.5, 4 feet tall, maybe 2.5 to 3 feet wide from what you can see without exploring further. And it towards the edge of the spoil heap is completely blocked by stone. The sinkhole has just obliterated that end of the tunnel, but it does seem to continue further in towards the center of the spoil heap.
So 2 things. Well, 3 things. She's not going to progress further than this at this point, because at this point she has information that would be helpful. And if she tries to find out more, it increases the likelihood that it's going to be bad and no one will get that information.
Mm-hmm.
2, does it look like this is part of a mining shaft, or that it was being created specifically nefariously or for some other purpose other than mining?
Can I have a notice check, please, to ascertain more information about this tunnel? Again, as with the clue finding, you'll get information even if you fail. It's just how much information you get.
17.
17? Oh yeah, plenty of information. So taking a few moments to study it, 1, you do smell that musty smell.
That was going to be my third question.
It's stronger down here. You can't see any tool marks on the rocks nearby. And the support beams are a mishmash of wood. Nothing, and like the floor itself is the floor and the walls and the ceiling is still loose rock from the spoil. I say air quotes, loose rock from the spoil. I don't know what it would be called in other places of the world, but certainly the place like the mining area I grew up in, they'd be called deads. It's just like waste rock essentially. And I've been in a mine level like this where they decided the best thing to do was to shove all of the deads into the ceiling to get them out of the way. And then it's like, cool, if I touch these in the rock, hit them hard enough, they're going to collapse. But nothing suggests this is a mine. This, to Cecil as an experienced ratter, is almost certainly a like tunnel built for infiltration.
I'm going to get out of here before whoever uses this tunnel comes back through.
Okay, it'll be a traverse check to get back out, please. You know roughly what to do, so the DC is lower.
14.
Yep, that's fine. It's a squeeze. You get out. The patrol does not appear to be anywhere nearby right now, so you can get away cleanly if you want to.
Yes, though it is rather tempting to run up and kiss one of them and say, "That's from Momo," and then run away. But she harnesses that impulse and does not draw undue attention to herself.
We'll make that a I can't speak for the channel, obviously, but we'll make that a channel point redemption reward for the next stream. But I assume you're just heading back to the smelting pot.
Yes.
Okay. So that in total will have taken about half an hour. So I guess at this point in the night for Momo back in the smelting pot, most of the clientele will be leaving because it's past midnight at this point. So what have you been doing for that half hour before Cecil returns?
Anyone who's staying, I will make sure that they are nice and clean and they have a nice, warm, cozy place to sleep. So, if we have to dogpile, we can do that. Otherwise, I'm making sure that, any long-haired dogs get the debris brushed out and any short-haired dogs get it, nice and smooth and glossy. We all need a glossy coat to show that we have good health and we're shiny and beautiful because we are all beautiful. And we've all lived these wonderful experiences that have built us as people, as dogs, and have made us gooder dogs than we were before. This is not to say that I encourage suffering, but rather that we can learn from all suffering as we strive to be good dogs. Anyway, what I'm doing is I'm making sure that these people who have been through an incredible tragedy, I mean, their houses fell down on them. That's horrible. So what we need to do is we need to make them feel at home in this place, even if they're only staying for a little while. And I'm also going to send word to Sigmund where we are.
Okay.
Let him know we're going to be here at the smelting pot, by the smelting pot.
Certainly. Yeah, one of the clientele, you've enough goodwill here that one of the clientele's happy to take that message for you. A couple of the pups try to avoid the wash, but their parents are on hand to corral them and make sure that they get all the stone dust out. Moira she picks up on what you're doing and provides like these big copper basins that she puts into the fire to heat, well, not into it, but above the fire to heat the water so that you have enough hot water on hand. To make sure everyone's clean.
Fantastic. Yeah. I mean, obviously we can't do like a full bath like we should do, where everyone gets shampooed and shiny and silky and dried, and then the blow dry, and then brush, kissy. That's what you're supposed to do. But we can't because we don't have the time and space. But what we can do is we can do just like a little bitty, quick bath, make sure everything's clean, no dirt on our paws. We have to do that. And just nice, cozy, warm, ready for bed. Maybe tell a little bedtime story, but not too excited. It's hard for me to not be excited, but I can tell a little short one about all the great adventures that Momo goes on with her very good friends, Cecil and Sigmund, because we are pioneers and we serve That is what we do. That is how we are good. And maybe I can, relate some more human ballads to them. Yeah, I don't have like a full songbook, but I have fragments of their wisdom that they committed to song, that I can share with them
Yeah.
now. Yeah.
As Cecil returns to the smelting pot, pretty much everyone's been washed at this point, but there's a circle of pups sitting adoringly at Momo's feet, just listening as she recounts some of these human ballads to the pups. You've seen this. You've seen the looks that some of them have before when just like formal pioneer events in the city of Pugmire itself, where she's definitely inspiring some of these to consider at least joining the pioneers. But you are the messenger returns with Sigmund in tow. He is tired, grumpy. He's an old dog. It's late at night. And you are more than welcome to use one of the booths to rest in. As I said, there are privacy sheets hung up for people who need to stay here the night, or if you want to just lie by the fire, there are a couple of dogs doing that as well. The dogs, after all. But I think, unless there is anything else that you particularly want to do, that's a decent enough place to end for today.
Yeah, I'm good with that. Cecil's just gonna cuddle up by the fire and maybe sneak a bath, because she's probably the dustiest one in here right now.
Almost certainly.
And call it a night.
I'll be honest.
I will wait. Oh, sorry.
No,
I will
sorry.
wait for all the children to sleep. And then also I will find a place to curl up. But I was the first to bathe, because if I expect the children to bathe, they have to see that it's safe. So I have to do it first, so they know this is what it's like to be clean and pretty and beautiful. Have your hair brushed out, no tangles at all. No tangles. It's the worst, because then you get mad and things get stuck. Oh, it's so awful. But I'm safe and I'm clean. And then, of course, everyone else is too. And then I will lay down near friends, ever vigilant, to sleep.
Yeah, I'll be honest. It's mostly just out of a selfish desire for humor on my part for seeing how you get Sigmund into the tunnels. But I if you go that route, obviously. But I'd like Tom to be here for that. So
Yeah, that sounds good to me.
okay, so I didn't write an outro in the schedule. Gosh dang it! I'm going off book. Is that allowed? For people who have joined the stream late and want to catch up on the start, if you are not a Twitch subscriber, you will have to, unfortunately, wait a week to watch it before it goes live to the public on the Twitch channel. And these are being archived at the Onyx Path's YouTube channel as well. If you are a Twitch subscriber, good news, you can watch from the beginning now, or when we finish the stream. And if you have an Amazon Prime account, you can link that to your Twitch account for a Prime Gaming account. It's a lot, and you can use that to get a free subscription every month. It doesn't auto renew; you have to manually do it, but it works out as a basic tier 1 subscription for the channel you choose to use it on. But if you weren't here at the start, we'll do an outro. I do mine last. Why not? Lee, we'll go in reverse order. Rosie, do you wanna start the outro?
Okay. Hi, I am Rosie, regular size mom. You can find me at my Twitter handle, which is underneath my face, at mom_sized, because I'm a regular sized mom. And you can also find me on Etsy and all of the socials that I am aware of as Odd Duck Dice. because I like the pretty click clacks, so I started making them. And I make bullet shaped D6s, D10s, and percentiles if you're looking for funky shapes. And I'm enjoying Cecil a lot. And I just want to say that if she ever tries to like get one of her companions not to do something, it's because she's certain that it's dangerous and she doesn't want anyone else to get hurt. So I don't want anyone to think that she's like being cold, or she'd rather that her companions be annoyed with her than get hurt, because she is in her own way a good dog.
And that's what all citizens of the all dogs certainly aspire to be. Lee, would you like to say a piece?
Yes, I am Lee. I am not nearly as manic as Momo is. My role-playing notes for her, she's based on a friend's dog, was that she is a crackhead guardian. So that's why Momo is as energetic and delightful as she is. But it's fun. You can find me at Scriftly, which is under my name. Also, I am found on social medias as Ipsy. You can see it in the Twitch chat, IPSEY, on various social medias. That's me. As I stated at the beginning, I playtested for Onyx Path before, for Chronicles of Darkness, and also that was the first edition Chronicles of Darkness, by the way. And also I have written introductory fiction for By Banner Bound, available on the Storyteller's Vault if you want to get that there. It has been a pleasure. I have such joy doing this. I love doing the makeup. I block out a whole hour from my face and I make the ears and everything. So I cannot wait to continue. We'll see you next week.
And that's an hour well spent, I feel like, just from me personally. Unfortunately, as I said at the start of the episode, Tom couldn't be with us today, but if you do want to follow the third of our players, it is at Bolthra on Twitter. I'm Comrade Bubbles, most places, Twitter, Twitch, YouTube, and all of that good stuff. I don't really do much outside of content creation. I do write community content for Onyx Path Game Lines. So if you just search Ryan Wheeldon, WHWELDON, on DriveThruRPG, you'll find my entire portfolio, basically. If you have enjoyed what you've seen here today, reminder that the rules for the second edition Realms of Pugmire will not be exactly the same as we've been using. We're using the playtesting rules that are in the process of being rewritten in the wake of Wizards of the Coast attempting to update the OGL, as the rules that we have do use mechanics protected by the OGL. Eddie Webb, the founder of Pugsteady and the creator of the game, is rewriting the rules to remove any OGL-covered mechanics to use the Onyx 20 system. And if you do want to see what those new rules look like on Tuesday, this coming Tuesday, at, I think I said 7 p.m. GMT? Yep, 2 p.m. Eastern, 8 p.m. Central European Time. You can go to... Hang on, wait for things to catch up. You can go to that Kickstarter link and back the project. Onyx Path do a cool thing where during their Kickstarter crowdfunding campaigns in general, if you back it, you get access to the backer. You get access to a manuscript preview, which is basically the playtesting rules as they are at the time of the crowdfunding campaign. They release that in chunks, so you don't get the whole thing in one go. So if you back it at the start of the month, you'll get bits spread throughout. If you back it at the end of the month, you'll have loads to download and read. Obviously, we don't know what the changes being made are, but what I've read of the playtest rules we have access to, it's a great game. That's a lot of fun. Hopefully, this is obviously highlighting that. Regrettably, there will be no stream next Saturday evening. I'm unavailable for personal reasons, so the next calendar, please load. The next stream theoretically is the 4th of February, but if anything comes up, I will obviously communicate with Travis, who runs the Twitch channel here at twitch.tv/OnyxPath, and it won't be added to the schedule, basically, that is popped up on the Monday meeting notes and the various other places. I think that's all of the promotion that I need to do, apart from my own. I do run a show on this very channel. It's not happening next week. Don't worry about it. But I guess that's it from me. As I said last week, and as could actually, important note: this is a limited series. We're not doing Critical Role 100 plus episodes. I'm expecting, based on where we've reached, maybe 2 more sessions, if that's okay with my players. And obviously that's a conversation we can have off stream, but I was just letting chat know this is probably going to be at most 5 sessions of gameplay after session 0, but that's like if everything gets pushed out really far. If you are craving a TTRPG hit on this fine Saturday, it is a Saturday evening. I'm stalling for time while I pull up the information that I desperately need. If you stick around for another 45 minutes, there is a Changeling the Lost game happening. If anyone is interested in Changeling the Lost, which is a fantastic game. It does deal with heavy themes of abuse, though. So that's something to consider. It is a horror game, so it does deal with difficult subjects. But it's a fantastic game of whimsy and finding beauty in dark places. But I think that is it from me. So it's been a pleasure running Realms of Pugmire for my players. It has been a pleasure seeing what's happening in chat, and it will continue to be a pleasure. But I'll let the post roll, and have a great Saturday evening, everyone.